And I've often felt it. I've sat there and I have felt the knife slipped firmly in between my shoulder blades and tried to have it shoved through the other side through my heart.
You know, there's a short life in
Why do you think that is with the creative side?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take. You're going through so much to try and deal with life.
Mel Gibson is about to shake Hollywood to its rotten core, and at the center of his mission to expose the filth is none other than Sean Diddy Combs. Yes, you heard that right. The man who brought us timeless blockbusters and made history with The Passion of the Christ is now on a crusade to unmask the darkest secrets of Tinseltown. And it's not just about Diddy's alleged crimes. It's about an entire network of enablers, manipulators, and power players who've spent decades building their empires on the suffering of others.
The system is completely based on money. The studio system.
So far, Gibson has kept his cards close to his chest. But whispers from insiders suggest he's been quietly conducting his own investigation for months, gathering shocking evidence that could obliterate reputations. Imagine it, Mel Gibson, late at night, poring over secret recordings, hidden testimonies, and whispers from Hollywood's underbelly. What has he uncovered? And more importantly, why now?
You can't build a resentment about it. You have to still try and love those people.
Yeah.
Because that's the way they're thinking.
According to those in the know, Gibson believes Diddy isn't just another criminal in the long line of Hollywood scandals, he's the symbol of everything corrupt in the entertainment world. Diddy, who's been languishing in a Brooklyn jail cell while his trial unfolds, has already been accused of unimaginable acts that have turned his once glittering empire into a crumbling fortress. But Gibson sees him as more than a disgraced mogul. To him, Diddy is the pinnacle of Hollywood's filth, a man protected by untouchable power structures and a vast network of loyalists who've allegedly turned a blind eye to his behavior for years. And here's the kicker. Gibson doesn't think the courtroom alone can deliver justice. He reportedly believes that Diddy's money and influence could still tip the scales in his favor. After all, isn't that how the system works? But Gibson isn't just sitting back and watching it happen. No, he's putting his own career, his reputation, and potentially even his safety on the line to expose what he's uncovered. Rumors are swirling that Gibson's new project, a daring exposé disguised as a feature film, is directly tied to the bombshell revelations unfolding in Diddy's trial. Some speculate that the actor-turned-director has secret informants feeding him information, individuals from Diddy's inner circle who finally had enough. Former assistants, bodyguards, and even alleged victims are said to have come forward, sharing details too sensitive for the courtroom but perfect for Gibson's vision. And let's talk about those rumors for a moment. Imagine this. Gibson's film isn't just a narrative, it's an explosive reenactment of the infamous freakoffs that have been dominating the headlines. These weren't just sordid parties, according to court records. They were multi-day ordeals involving coercion, manipulation, and unspeakable acts. Picture chilling scenes of hotel nights filled with fear, desperation, and power plays. Could Gibson really be planning to bring such raw, unflinching depictions to the big screen? If so, it's no wonder Hollywood is panicking.
Card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying.
But it doesn't stop with Diddy. Gibson's investigation reportedly goes beyond the former music mogul, targeting the entire ecosystem that allowed this behavior to thrive. Remember those whispered rumors of blackmail tapes? Allegedly, Diddy used these recordings as leverage to control not just his victims, but also other powerful figures in Hollywood. And here's where things get even murkier. Some say Gibson has either acquired these tapes or knows exactly where to find them. What's on these tapes? Names, faces, secrets. Imagine the fallout if these recordings became public. We're not talking about minor players here. Speculation suggests that the names implicated could include some of the biggest stars, producers, and executives in the industry. People we've idolized for years. People we've trusted.
Look at Diddy, for instance. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at him. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at. He has videos. He has videos of the parties. Now, what I've heard, which I don't know how much of it is in mainstream media, I don't really follow the story that much. But what I've heard from friends that are attorneys, friends of mine that have represented me before, agents and so on, is there's a bidding war going on.
And this is where Gibson's campaign takes on a new level of danger. Hollywood's elites aren't just going to sit idly by while their careers and legacies are threatened. How far will they go to silence him? Meanwhile, the courtroom drama surrounding Diddy continues to escalate. Just this week, new testimonies have painted an even darker picture of the so-called freakoffs. Witnesses have described scenes straight out of a nightmare, substance-fueled marathons of manipulation and control, with Diddy allegedly orchestrating every detail. One former girlfriend, referred to as Jane, broke down in tears as she recounted being forced into these situations, her every move controlled by fear, threats, and the promise of financial ruin if she didn't comply.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the
Hell
consequences
yeah.
when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at it.
The prosecution has even played recordings in court, capturing Diddy's chilling commands during these encounters. "You're not getting tired on me. Let's finish strong," he was heard saying on one tape as a sobbing Jane begged for the ordeal to end. These recordings, combined with testimonies from other victims, paint a devastating portrait of a man consumed by his own power. And yet Diddy's legal team is fighting back, claiming that he's been singled out because of his race and status. His lawyers have argued that the charges against him are unprecedented, pointing out that no other figure of his stature has faced similar accusations under the same laws. But is this a genuine defense or just another attempt to deflect from the mountain of evidence piling up against him? Back in Gibson's world, the stakes couldn't be higher. If the rumors are true, his film could blow the lid off not just Diddy's alleged crimes, but Hollywood's entire facade. Insiders are already speculating that the project will name names, expose hidden connections, and reveal just how deep the rot goes.
When I came over here, I was in my mid-20s.
Right.
The first time I really came over here. I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
But here's the question we can't stop asking. Is Gibson ready for the firestorm this will unleash? Because make no mistake, the elites of Hollywood won't take this lying down. They've spent decades building their empires, protecting their secrets, and silencing anyone who gets too close. If Gibson truly has what we think he does, we're standing on the brink of the biggest scandal in entertainment history. Could this be the beginning of the end for Hollywood's untouchable elite? Or will Gibson's crusade be crushed under the weight of the very forces he's trying to expose? One thing's for sure, the truth is coming, and it's going to hit harder than anyone expects. And just like that, the whispers are growing louder. Hollywood's most powerful figures are reportedly in a panic, scrambling to contain Mel Gibson before his investigation can bring their darkest secrets to light. Imagine the scene: private meetings in luxurious Beverly Hills mansions, guarded by round-the-clock security. Executives and A-listers pacing the room, voices raised, their faces pale with fear. Could they be plotting their next move to silence him? Some insiders claim Gibson's project has already sent shockwaves through the industry. Legal threats, smear campaigns, even veiled warnings, it's all said to be in motion as Hollywood's elite fight to protect themselves from what could be the most damning expose in history.
How you know to be hands-off with somebody. A number of producers come in and make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept.
Sean Diddy Combs has always been a polarizing figure, both celebrated for his contributions to music and criticized for the controversy that seems to follow him. Long before the current trial, his name has been tied to unsettling incidents that many believe were brushed under the rug thanks to his wealth and influence. One of the most infamous cases dates back to December 1999, when Diddy was involved in a nightclub incident that ended with gunfire erupting after an argument. Though Diddy managed to escape serious legal consequences, his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez and his bodyguard were caught up in this scandal, with the latter being convicted of illegal gun possession. Many whispered that Diddy's legal team worked tirelessly behind the scenes to shield him from scrutiny, leaving others to take the fall. But that wasn't the only time Diddy's name was linked to violent incidents. In the years that followed, allegations of intimidation and physical altercations began to surface. Former employees and acquaintances have quietly spoken of a man who would stop at nothing to maintain his image of control and dominance. In 2015, he was arrested for an altercation at UCLA, where he reportedly wielded a kettleweight during a confrontation with a football coach. While the charges were ultimately dropped, the incident painted a picture of someone unafraid to use aggression to get his way. What's more, insiders have suggested that this temper extended far beyond public altercations, bleeding into his private life and business dealings.
I'll tell you, I don't know how much, I don't like to say things that I know unless I see it. That there's a little difference, but was it discussed? Was there descriptions from people I know that were at those? Yes, but here's another thing. So how many of these big entertainment parties and over the years and everything with as successful as you are, have you been around? Does anyone ever come up to you at a certain hour and say, okay, it's time to go? At those parties, they did.
There's also the ongoing mystery surrounding Diddy's former protege, the notorious B.I.G. While Diddy has always denied any involvement in the tragic loss of the rap legend, conspiracy theories have swirled for decades. Some believe that the feud between East Coast and West Coast rappers, which Diddy helped stoke during the 90s, created an environment where violence was inevitable. Even more chilling are the whispers that Diddy benefited from the fallout, using the tragedy to cement his status as the king of hip-hop. True or not, the lingering questions about his role in that era continue to cast a shadow over his legacy.
You could, that some of your worst nightmares were real at the time, and you think, Now this is what I mean by actually starting to swim up or downstream with the rest of the salmon, you know, eventually, if you stay here long enough.
Yeah.
You'll find yourself doing that. And you have to, there's a way of doing it without doing it.
And then there are the lawsuits, dozens of them. Over the years, Diddy has been accused of everything from unpaid wages to harassment. In 2017, his former chef alleged that she was forced to work long hours under unbearable conditions, claiming she was once ordered to serve food while Diddy hosted a private gathering in his bedroom. Though the lawsuit was settled out of court, it added to the growing perception that Diddy's lavish lifestyle came at the expense of those who worked for him. And let's not forget his former bodyguards, some of whom have alleged that they were coerced into participating in questionable activities to cover for their boss. What's even more remarkable is how these stories have remained relatively quiet until now. For years, it seemed as though Diddy was untouchable, his influence shielding him from the consequences faced by others. But as the trial unfolds and Gibson's investigation shines a light on his past, all of these incidents are being revisited with fresh eyes. Could it be that the cracks in Diddy's carefully constructed facade are finally starting to show? If so, what does that mean for the other Hollywood power players who've spent decades protecting him?
That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid,
But here's where it gets even more chilling. According to unnamed sources, Gibson's investigative team has faced unusual interference. Rumors suggest that anonymous calls and cryptic messages have been directed at those working closely with him. Are these scare tactics meant to derail the project? And if so, who's behind them? It's almost impossible to ignore the timing of it all. Just as Diddy's trial heats up, Gibson's project comes under pressure. Could these two storms be connected? Meanwhile, back in the courtroom, the tension is almost unbearable. Witnesses are reportedly being pressured to stay silent. Some have allegedly been approached by shadowy figures, people who seem to have no official ties to the case, but who speak with a quiet authority that's hard to ignore. Could they be emissaries sent by Hollywood's old guard, desperate to keep certain names out of Gibson's investigation? One witness reportedly confided to a legal source that they felt unsafe after being contacted about their testimony. What does that tell us about the lengths some people might go to keep these secrets buried?
And I was looking at a building with the top of the sixes on it, so there was a huge illuminated 666 in red.
Yeah.
And I went from that to that to that, and he started smiling. And I thought, oh no, Chris Walken is the Antichrist.
Yeah.
And then there's Gibson himself. Despite the mounting pressure, he's pushing forward, undeterred. It's almost as if he knows the stakes couldn't be higher. For him, this isn't just about Diddy. It's about the entire system that allows someone like Diddy to thrive unchecked for so long. By all accounts, Gibson is a lone hero in a world that thrives on silence, a man willing to risk everything to expose what others won't even whisper about. But here's where things take an even more dramatic turn. Whispers from the industry suggest that Gibson might be preparing to drop a bombshell. According to sources close to the project, he's allegedly sitting on exclusive clips and evidence from his investigation. Evidence that could turn Hollywood upside down. Imagine if he reveals footage, secret recordings, or first-hand accounts that corroborate the chilling stories emerging from Diddy's trial. It's the kind of material that could not only destroy careers, but also force Hollywood to confront its own complicity.
I'm not sure. I don't buy for a minute that he's going to prison without getting out of here somewhere and stashing $2 billion or whatever. I think he has that kind of power, meaning Sean himself. But remember, it goes a lot deeper than that.
And what about the film itself? Insiders believe Gibson's project might include dramatized reenactments of the very events that have been described in court. The so-called freakoffs, the coercion, the power plays. If true, it would be a cinematic gut punch unlike anything we've ever seen. Hollywood loves a scandal, but not when it's about itself. If Gibson follows through, this film could become the industry's worst nightmare, a mirror held up to its darkest corners. But let's not forget, the stakes for Gibson aren't just professional, they're personal. By taking on the elites of Hollywood, he's putting himself in harm's way. Some are already speculating about the risks he faces. Could attempts to smear his reputation escalate into something more sinister? After all, we've seen what happens to those who try to challenge the system. Careers ruined, lives derailed, sometimes worse. And yet, Gibson seems undeterred. Reports suggest he's doubling down, meeting with whistleblowers and insiders who have even more damning information to share. Could he be building a case so strong, so airtight that not even Hollywood's most powerful players can stop it? Or is he walking into a trap, underestimating the lengths to which these forces will go to protect themselves?
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head.
But let's not forget the other side of this story. Diddy. His legal team is working overtime to discredit the allegations against him, framing him as a victim of selective prosecution and racial bias. They've argued that the charges he faces are unprecedented, claiming no one else in his position has ever been targeted like this. But is this just a distraction? A way to shift the narrative away from the horrifying details that continue to emerge in court? Take, for example, the testimony of Jane, the ex-girlfriend who described being forced into those infamous hotel nights. Her story, combined with audio recordings and other evidence, paints a devastating picture, and yet some witnesses have reportedly refused to testify, citing fear for their safety. What does that tell us about the kind of pressure being applied behind the scenes? And then there's the question of the blackmail tapes. If these recordings truly exist and if Gibson has access to them, they could be the key to unraveling this entire web. Imagine what might be on those tapes. Names, faces, conversations, deals made in the shadows. It's the kind of material that could implicate not just Diddy, but an entire network of enablers.
Now, the first step in eradicating this crime is awareness. Go see Sound of Freedom.
Here's the truth. If Gibson succeeds, this could be the most explosive expose in Hollywood history. But the question we have to ask ourselves is this: will he even survive to release it? Because let's be honest, this isn't just about one man or one film. This is about an industry built on secrets, one that will do whatever it takes to protect itself. What do you think? Could Gibson's investigation finally bring Hollywood's darkest secrets into the light, or will the forces against him prove too powerful? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And remember, this is just the beginning. Stay tuned because the truth is more shocking than anything Hollywood has ever put on screen. Until next time, take care of yourselves and stay curious.